Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone that rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect pushing the word in sincerity and truth across the four corners of the earth. All right. And I just want to come back with another quick lesson. All right. I'm going to entitle this one Humility Before Honor. All right. Basically a story about King David. All right. We all know that, King David is going to rule in the kingdom of heaven, all right, for eternity, of course, up under Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right. But the story of King David, wasn't always one of glory. All right. Once again, the humility came before, the honor that's going to come. All right. King David had his ups and downs and many other, men in the scriptures. All right. The Spirit just had me on this story with King David. King David actually, committed adultery, which is a offense that is, punishable, by death. All right. According to the law. All right. King David also had, other times, all right, other instances, of humility, man. All right. And that's what the Most High is looking for in a man. All right. The scriptures say that King David is a man after the Most High's heart. All right. And that, although he went off, as we all do, King David was still a man of the Lord, man. And his trials and tribulations, his ups and downs, will ultimately lead to him being the king of Israel forever, man. You know what I mean? And that plays into the mercy that the Most High has on those who he loves, the elect, But I'm going to start in Proverbs. All right, it's Proverbs 18 and 12. Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. And before honor is humility. Before honor is humility. And that's the position that the men of the Lord are in now, the hopeful elect. All right. Before honor is humility. All right. We are in that state of humility, man, before the Lord, begging him for mercy, going through our ups and downs in his flesh. All right. As Paul, alluded to in Romans, I believe it's Romans 7. All right. Going through our ups and downs, battling in his flesh. Okay. But those who were chosen, honor is going to come after that, man. Yahushua is going to, put a crown on brothers' heads like Ezra saw. You know what I mean? This state of humility that we are in is not going to last forever. Although we have gone against the Lord. Although sometimes we slip up and still go against the Lord. Go against his wishes. All right, which is the law. Following the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. All right. The hopeful elect. All right. The elect. All right, was chosen from the foundations of the earth. So although we are in a state of humility at this point, the honor is going to come after that. All right. And the humility is going to get worse. You know what I mean? The state of humility. All right. Being humiliated, as they say, before the world. Because the Lord going to turn this up. Just like he turned it up on King David. All right. Now we know the story. Those who know, Salakia, we may not all know the story, but King David actually committed adultery, with a woman named Bathsheba. All right. And he actually even went to the extent, to put her husband to death. All right. Put him in a position that he wasn't ready for. Put him in a position, of war, amongst mighty men. Just so he can get put to death so King David could have his woman. And that was a wicked act. All right. But the Most High will go on to put David through a various amount of situations, which I'm going to get into after that act, for him to show humility for the things that he have done. And that's the same thing that the Most High does to us. He puts us through these trials and tribulations for us to show humility and for us to bow to him. He's a great king. All right, for us to bow down to him and beg for mercy, not only in the turbulent times that we coming into, but even now, today, as you, if a brother stumbled across this video, as you listening, humility is key. Because none of us are perfect in this thing, man. But I'm gonna get into the story or the accounts All right. Now, once again, this is after King David had committed adultery with Bathsheba after he saw her showering, and you know what I mean. This was the Most High's judgment on King David. Although King David was a man after the Most High's heart, and he loved David, you know, he had to punish him, you know. But this is 2 Samuel 12 and 11. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son." All right. Basically the same thing that you did, speaking on King David, the same thing that King David did. I can't remember the man's name, but the same thing that King David did to the husband of Bathsheba, all right, was going to be done to David. The same way you lay with this man's wife, all right, the same way, you know, someone else is going to lay with your wives, man. You know what I mean? And the Most High put King David through hell through this situation, man. All right, as I get into the story, he put him through hell. All right. I'm gonna continue on. It's verse 12. "For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun." All right. And the scriptures say, you know, paraphrasing, you know, everything that is done in the dark is gonna come to light, man. And that's what the Most High was executing on King David in this situation. All right. It says, "And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also have put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit," right, Salakia, "but the Most High had mercy on David." All right, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai put away the sin of David because he loved him, just like he's going to put the sin away of the elect. All right, he said, "Thou shalt not die," but, you know, a punishment is coming, you know. It's verse 14. "Howbeit, because this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die." All right, now that's the first punishment that King David received, all right, during this stage of, you know, the Most High bringing him to humility. All right, the child that he had with this woman Bathsheba was prophesied to die. All right. It says, "And Nathan," is verse 15, "and Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick." All right. Uriah being the husband of Bathsheba, the woman that David committed adultery with. All right. "David therefore besought the Most High for the child, and David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not. Neither did he eat bread with them." David was in a mourning state. Right? Because we know the Most High ain't a man where he shall lie. So if he sent the prophet Nathan to say, "Hey, the Most High is going to kill your kid," that's what it is, man. And although David fasted, you know, and had a level of humility, okay, Most High still had to execute judgment on King David at this time, you know. It says, "And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died, and the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead?" So the servants didn't even want to tell him that the child that he had, all right, during the act of adultery was dead, because they seen the state of mourning that he was in, you know, when he heard the prophecy that the child was going to die. So they didn't tell him, or they did tell him, but they didn't want to tell him, you know. And that was the judgment that King David received after the act of adultery. You know, what was going to be brought forth from that adultery, which is the child, is going to die. You know what I mean? And that's a heavy judgment, you know. When you read these stories, You got to put yourself in that position. That's a heavy judgment. You know, although David committed adultery, you know, nobody wants to see the, you know, infant die. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see that, man. Nobody wants to go through that. But that's the, you know, that's what David had to go through at that time, as the Most High was bringing him to humility for the act of adultery that he committed. All right.